Welcome back. This is Ashley X Stitches. My name is Ashley and this is my YouTube channel where I talk about cross stitch. So it has been about a month since we last talked. I think my last video I recorded maybe December 11th and today is January 17th. So we have a month of fun stitchy stuff to catch up on. In that time I stitched on 8 projects. I had 1 finish, 2 FFOs and 4 new starts. In total, I have stitched 6,278 stitches since we last talked, so I am excited to share all of that with you. Also in the last month, I visited Keepsakes for the first time. As I mentioned in my first video, I am from Cincinnati, Ohio, and I still currently live in the Cincinnati area, so I was able to visit Keepsakes for the first time in the last few weeks, and I'm really excited to talk about that as well. So thank you so much for being here. Happy New Year. I hope everybody has had a safe and relaxing, holiday season. I hope everybody feels recharged for the new year. I do. I was able to, spend time with family and friends, and I had some good time off of work, and I hope you were able to do some of that as well, and that you're recharged and ready for the new year. I, as mentioned, live in the United States, and I'm sure for a lot of others that also live in the States, that this has been quite a crazy start to 2026. In the last 2 weeks, we've had probably what feels like a year's worth of headlines. So I hope that you've been able to turn off the world with your stitching, and I hope everybody's taking care of themselves and, checking in on your loved ones and neighbors. Without further ado, I think we should just jump on into this and see what I've been up to over the last month. So I'd like to start this off with talking about my experience of visiting Keepsakes for the first time. Overall, fantastic. I don't think anybody's surprised to hear that. It was my first time, so I was a little unsure what to expect when I was in there. But as soon as I walked in, I was welcomed by Barb. And she was very sweet. Barb and Susan were both there. I also got to, I briefly met Barbara just to introduce myself, and so that was nice. I didn't really have any specific goals for what I needed to pick out, other than I knew I needed 2 pieces of fabric for some of the new starts that we'll talk about later on. So that was really my only goal going in. Otherwise, I kind of just wanted to see everything that was there. I do live very close. I want to say about 15 minutes away. So I knew going in, there was no reason to buy up the whole store. I can go back whenever I want. So I kind of went in with that of there's no reason to go crazy. I didn't need any new patterns at the time. So I had already had these 4 new starts planned. So I knew I didn't need any patterns. I did know that I wanted that fabric. And other than that, I just wanted to walk around, take it all in, and know that I could come back literally anytime. So that's exactly what I did. I walked around and just went into every room, and I probably spent an hour and a half just walking around and just pretty much looking at everything. And if you've been there, there is a lot in there. It is a house that was repurposed into a cross-stitch store, and so every room of the house is just covered wall to wall with cross-stitch patterns and model stitches, and so there is a lot to look at. So I walked around, I took pictures of patterns that I thought, maybe I'd want to stitch in the future, and I had a fantastic time doing that. I did pick up some stitchy notions, but overall I did not come out of there with a huge haul because, as mentioned, I can go back anytime I want, humble brag, but yeah, so I didn't go too crazy, but I did want to just kind of talk about my experience there. So after I did my walking around, it was actually really nice. Barb asked me, was there anything specific I wanted to do, or did I just want to be left alone to take it all in? And that's kind of what I said I wanted to do, and so she let me do that. And so as I said, I spent about an hour or so doing that. And then when I was ready to then move on to checking out fabric, I came back downstairs and said that that's what I wanted to do. Her and Susan both jumped at it. Luckily for me, I was, I think, like the only person in the store at that time. So I was able to get like the focus of both of them, which was really sweet. So I was ready to go look at fabric. I told them what my new starts were, planned to be, and what fabric I was thinking for them. You know, they have such a large selection there. I mean, probably this is true for any LNS, but as somebody who's never visited an LNS, my experience with like picking out fabric is just like the 123 Stitch website, or, you know, what's on Etsy. And that's obviously great. Nothing wrong with that, but there is just nothing better than like seeing the fabric in person before you buy it. I haven't had any like really bad experiences with ordering a fabric online and then it comes back, you know, and then it comes in like not looking at all what I thought it was going to look like. But I could imagine how easy it is for something like that to happen. So being able to be in store and looking at it was awesome. And also I think it was just really helpful having Barb and Susan there. Sorry, there's something in my eye. I think it was also really helpful having Barb and Susan there because like they know much better than I would of like what they have there, and so they were able to kind of beeline right to what I was describing. So they were super sweet and so helpful, and I genuinely I can't wait to go back. Oh, and also something else, I don't know if this was like they were just kind of doing this for everybody at this time of year or what, but while I was there and checking out, they gave me a free gift, which is just so sweet. So it's this cute little box with a ribbon on it, and inside is a tumbler. I actually haven't used it yet because I was waiting to be able to show it on this video because it's just so cute. It's a tumbler with a, you know, scan of a cross stitch piece, and it says "This way to StitchCon 2025." So it's like, I don't know if they had if they just had extra of these. Oh, you can see my ring light. I don't know how to avoid that, but I don't know if they just had a bunch of extra of these and they were just trying to get, you know, rid of them because it was the end of 2025. And like, I don't know if they were just giving them to everybody or like if they just decided to give one to me for free or something. I mean, I'm sure, like, I'm not special. I'm sure they were giving these out to anybody that came in, but I don't know. I'd like to think maybe they just had such a good time with me that they decided to throw this one in for free. I don't know, but it is so cute. I had a great time. I will be back sometime in the near future and probably on a regular basis. So that is my experience with Keepsakes. All right, so I kind of want to talk a little bit about my stitching goals. So I've been watching a ton of planning videos, you know, 2026 plans, and also all the whip parades and the finish parades from 2025. I have just been eating all of that up, as I'm sure a lot of you are too. They are just some of the most fun videos to watch, and I've been finding new channels because of it. So, and I've been getting inspired about all these new patterns that I've never seen before. So my wish list is getting much longer. But anyway, so I just wanted to take a quick moment. This is not a plans video, but I wanted to talk a little bit about how I'm planning for myself and my stitching this year. Yeah, since this is just my first video of 2026. Okay, so I picked up this just generic 2026 planner. I got it at like Target. It is very much not stitching specific, like it's just a yearly planner. And I have been using it to track my stitching and kind of planning out my goals for, I was gonna say each month, but obviously it's just been January so far. But I've been using it to keep track of my new starts and, you know, the chart names and the designers and what fabric I'm stitching it on. And I'm using kind of the month view to track how many stitches I had each day and also the high temperatures for each day, which you will see what that's about in a little bit. And then I have this page for January goals. I'm not sure how easy it will be for you to read any of this, but as you can see, I have my little checklist here of the goals that I have set for myself in January. So I guess let's just go through my January goals. Well, first of all, I want to say I don't have any yearly goals. I've been watching a ton of 2026 plans videos. And so I know a lot of people have yearly goals and things like whip go and other kind of things like that. So, you know, they plan out things they want to accomplish over the entire year. I'm not doing any of that. I, as you may know, am a newer stitcher. I have a limited amount of whips. That number is going up, but I don't have a ton like going on right now to where I feel like I can make any meaningful goals that will make sense, you know, 6, 10, 12 months from now. Anyway, so my plan is to just set out goals at the beginning of every month and try to keep myself on track with that. And so just in general, I'll be making some good progress throughout the year. Okay, all that. So my goals for January are as follows. I want to keep up with my daily temperature stitch, which you will be seeing in my new starts in a little bit. I wanted to finish my January weenie dog that is in the long and short ear pattern that is also in my new starts. You'll see it in a little bit, but also I talked about that in like a previous video, so not a secret. I wanted to reach 60% on my Frank pattern. You will see in the whip section. I wanted to finish the IC 1623 hexagon in my James Webb Space Telescope pattern. And then I wanted to put 2,000 stitches into the wedding, which again, you will see more about in my new starts, but I also talked about that in my plans for my last video. And then I also wanted to I wanted to FFO my ornament, which you will see, or I guess hear a little bit about in a little bit. And then I've been using this page to track new starts, finishes, and FFOs. As you can see, I have 4 new starts already. I probably already mentioned that like some other time in the video. 4 new starts already in January. 3 new starts in January. One of those was in December. Just kidding. I have 0 finishes so far and 0 FFOs so far in this month. So whatever, that's how I'm keeping track. And then I have these pages that are broken down day by day. Every day I am writing down what project I worked on, how many stitches I put into it, and probably, you know, a percentage update. And then I'm also writing down just like kind of a quick summary of what I did that day. So this is kind of doubling as a stitching journal, but also just like a life daily journal as well. Just to jot down a couple sentences every day of just what happened that day. And I just think it'd be a nice like record again if I ever look back on this. I don't know if I will, but just a reminder of what I did that day. And also I think sometimes it like helps explain like why my stitch count might have been low, like, or whatever. If I'm curious, I can go back and see that. So anyway, that is my goals for how I'm keeping track of like all my plans for the year. So again, just a generic 2026 planner, not anything stitching specific, but I think it has been helpful. I've done a good job of sticking with it and using it every day so far, so hopefully I keep up with that. So as mentioned, I did have 1 finish in the last month. This is Ceramic Tree by Mill Hill. Hopefully I am showing you where I was last month, the last time I would have shown you this, and here it is now, all finished. So I started stitching this on December 9th and finished it up on December 23rd. So I was hoping I would get it fully finished by Christmas in time to have it on my tree as an ornament, but as usual, Christmas is always much busier than I think it's gonna be, so I didn't have time to do that. But this was such a fun project to work on. This was my first time using perforated paper and also my first time ever beading. So I had so much fun doing that, and I just know there is no way this will be my last Mill Hill kit. So I had a great time with this, and I can't wait to fully finish it at some time this year and have it on my Christmas tree for next Christmas. Also, as I mentioned, I did have 2 fully finished objects in this past month. If you recall from my previous video, I was working on making, actually I think I had finished 3 December motifs from a long and short ear. The pattern is by Pinoy Stitch, and we'll talk about that pattern in a little bit as well, but I made 3 of those December motifs to turn into Christmas ornaments. So I was able to fully finish 2 out of those 3 that I had stitched, and hopefully you should be seeing pictures of them now. I gave these 2 away to my mom and my future mother-in-law. They both really loved them. This was actually my first time fully finishing any cross stitch project, so I was really proud of that. Otherwise, I have only gotten things framed at like Hobby Lobby, so this was my first time fully finishing on my own, and it was a fun learning experience. I followed a hoop finishing tutorial, a pretty old one from Caterpillar Cross Stitch, but it worked out really well. I used some Christmas fabric to do the backing, and I just basically measured out the size of my hoop that I was going to finish it in and did a blanket stitch all the way around. So I think they turned out really well. It was a lot of fun, and even though I didn't have time to finish the 3rd one, that one is gonna be for me and for our Christmas tree, so it wasn't as high of a priority to get that finished as it was to finish the ones that I was giving away as gifts. So hopefully I will get that one finished up soon so that it can be on my Christmas tree for next year. Okay, so now for whips, I will talk about some projects that I have already shown you and that I've worked on in the past month. I hopefully should be able to show you a picture of where it was at last time. I did, however, forget to take progress photos of where I was at in the last time I filmed, so I did have to grab these pictures from that last video, so sorry they're not the best quality, but they should hopefully still do the job of like showing you where I was at. So hopefully you're seeing the picture of Happy Fall Y'all by Witch's Garden Crafts on Etsy. This is where it's at now. I am stitching this on 32 count white Lugana 2/2. Since the last time I showed this to you, I only stitched 138 stitches on it. It's just not fall anymore, and I only have 543 stitches left to go, but I just haven't been feeling like picking it up. We are definitely out of the fall season at this point. I started it way too late into the fall season, but I got that seasonal stitchy bug at that time. So I don't want to put this away until next fall, because I honestly think I would rather start something new during next fall when that comes back around, rather than picking this one up. That's just my I just feel like that's what's gonna happen. So since there's only 543 stitches left, I am gonna keep this as active, but we'll see. I could just do like 5 short stitching sessions and get this done and be able to fully finish it and have it hanging as a decoration for next fall. So I'm hoping I'm gonna do that, but that is where this one is at. This is currently at 67.66%. So it'd be great if I have this done next month and show it as a finish, but honestly, I'm not making any promises. So next up for whips is this piece that I like to call Frank, because it looks just like my dog named Frank. And the actual name of the chart is called Thoughtful, and it is charted by White Willow Stitching. Speaking of Frank, he is sitting right here next to me chewing on a bone, being a very good little boy, but if you hear like chewing sounds, that's him. And also speaking of Frank, if you noticed, my sweatshirt that I'm wearing today is Frank, and it looks just like him. My future mother-in-law actually got me this for Christmas as a gift, and it is honestly probably one of my favorite gifts I've gotten this year. It's just so cute, and I just thought that was such a sweet gift for her to think of and to get for me. So I just wanted to point that out if you've noticed that or not. So hopefully you've been seeing where I was at with this piece the last time I filmed, and here is where it's at now. Since the last time you would have seen this, I put 786 stitches in it, and it is currently at 58.02%. Like I mentioned, my goal for January is to get this one to 60%, so I only have 538 more stitches to go before that goal is complete. I'm not 100% sure what all is new from the last time I showed you. It's not a ton, but definitely I think like this. Oh, actually I did finish probably the horizontal row that I was working on the last time I showed you. So definitely that row is finished, and then all of this little bit is new, and so probably like these stitches up here are new as well. So that's where that one is at. It's definitely getting slower progress than it previously was, but I do have more whips now than I did actually at any point in my stitching journey. So it's getting a little slower progress, but as I said, I do love stitching on this, and I do think I'll be sad when this one is done. As much as I will love seeing it hanging up in our house, I do really enjoy working on this. So I'm in no particular rush to get this one done, but yeah, that is where he's at now. This is just stitched on some 18 count oatmeal Aida that I got from Michael's, I believe. So the next whip that I have to show you today is The Wonders of the James Webb Space Telescope by Climbing Goat Designs. This was a SAL that finished a long time ago. I started it this year on August 31st for Space September with Adelaide from Adelaide Stitches. So I worked on it every day in September and got a lot of progress on it, and now I'm just kind of taking my time and getting through the hexagons as time allows. So as mentioned, my goal for this month was to finish another hexagon. So since the last time I showed it to you, I had to start a new hexagon, and well, I guess I will just show you where it's at now. So I actually got it out of the Q-snap for this video, and hopefully you can see it pretty well because I cannot see what I'm showing you at all. But as you can see, I did finish this hexagon up here. I guess I started and finished it since the last time you would have seen it. So in that last time, I stitched 1,011 stitches since the last time you saw this. So that, I guess, is how much is in every hexagon. I am currently at 48.17% on this one. And yeah, I accomplished my January goal. Loving this. It is stitched on a 16 count Starry Night Aida, which I got from Witch's Garden Crafts on Etsy. As mentioned, I did have 4 new starts in the last month, which, as somebody who previously having 3 whips was the max I'd ever had, I am now up to 7. So it's a little crazy, but I feel really good about it, and I am just enjoying this time of like trying out new patterns and getting excited about new starts. So also, 2 of the new starts I'm about to show you are like year-long patterns, so I had no choice but to get them started in January. So, you know, 4 might sound like a lot to some people, probably doesn't sound like a lot to other people, but for me, it is kind of a lot. I don't know that I'll keep this streak going of starting 4 new patterns in a month, but it made sense to do it in January because at least 2 of these had to get started in January. And they all got started actually like within 1 week of each other. They were all started like after Christmas and before I went back to work after like having time off for the Christmas time. So all that to be said, I had plenty of time to get things started, and they all have gotten work on them. And again, I feel really good about this. So the first new start that I have to show you, and I'm actually going to go in chronological order of when I started them. This pattern is called Wicked Witches, and it is charted by SewLovelybyChelsea on Etsy. So this chart was a gift from my brother and sister-in-law, which was so sweet. They also included a 1, 2, 3 stitch gift card, and that meant so much to me, like that my family acknowledges like how much I enjoy this hobby. So that was just so cool that they did this. I am a fan of the whole Wicked franchise, the musical, the movies, all of it. So it just meant so much to me that they saw an activity that I'm enjoying and you know, a topic that they know I love, and they put those together and got this gift for me. So that was awesome. So I got this started on, let's see, December 29th. So here is where I'm at. I'm hoping it's like not too hard to see. Yeah, I think you can see it pretty good. So this is being stitched on 32 count Picture This Plus linen in Valor. This is the first project I have ever started on linen. It's a nice green color. This is one of the fabrics that I picked up at Keepsakes when I went, and I wanted a green because in this whole pattern, the only green is Elphaba's face, which, you know, if you're a Wicked fan, it's like that is not enough green in a pattern for it to be a Wicked themed pattern, in my opinion. So I wanted to do it on a green pattern, I wanted to do it on a green fabric to add some more green to this Wicked piece. I have stitched 1,659 stitches, which is 24.61%. And I didn't have any goals for this one in January, other than I just, you know, wanted to get some good amount of stitches in there and just enjoy it a little bit. But I did recently decide to take this one to work and stitch on it during my lunch hour. So I've done that for a few days, and then I had to bring it home to film this video. But yeah, my goal is just to get, like, you know, if I can get 100 stitches on it a day during my lunch break, then, you know, that's 500 stitches a week, give or take, and that'll give good, consistent progress on it. And it's a good piece, I feel like, to do that. Oh my gosh. It's a good piece, I feel like, to do that with because it is mostly block stitching. So it's just a nice way to kind of decompress halfway through my workday and just, you know, do a bunch of the same color for 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how quickly I like eat my food. So that is that one. I'm stitching that 2 over 2 if anybody cares. All right, the next new start that I have to show you is A Year in Stitches by Caterpillar Cross Stitch. This is one of their free patterns that you can get when you sign up for their newsletter. I decided to do it as a temperature tracker, and so at the end of this year, I will have a beautiful piece that reflects the temperatures in 2026 in Cincinnati, Ohio. So a January 2nd start, here is where we're at. So this is what, you know, the first 2 weeks or so of 2026 has looked like in Cincinnati, Ohio. This is being stitched on 32 count Lugana by Grace Notes in the color Colleen. This is the second fabric that I got from Keepsakes when I was there. And I guess I'll show you the whole fabric. So when I went in there, my goal was to get like a light blue mottled fabric because my idea was it would be really cool if the sun and the clouds and all their, you know, temperatures were on a background that kind of looked like a blue sky. And while I was there picking out fabric, this is what me and Susan came across. I think this fabric is just like perfect for exactly that description. Like, this looks like a blue sky with some nice white fluffy clouds on it. So I think she just did a fantastic job finding this fabric, and I just think it was perfect for exactly what I was envisioning for this piece. So as you can see, it's been cold. I mean, it is January in Ohio, but it has been actually kind of mild. You can see I have these greens in here, which are like high temperatures of like 50s and 60s Fahrenheit. So it has been a pretty mild January so far. So if anybody's interested, that is what the weather in Cincinnati is looking like so far this year. I don't have like the stitch count in the percentages because I just figured it's like every day of the year. I'm not really keeping track of that. But yeah, stitching this 2 over 2. Loving this fabric, by the way. I mean, it's good to know I like Grace Notes Lugana. It is actually a dream to stitch on. Like, it's kind of sad that I only get to put a few stitches in this every day. Keeping up with this daily temperature stitch was a goal for me in January. That probably is going to be an underlying goal for every month of this year, but I just want to make sure I don't ever get too far off track, because then it is going to be really hard to convince myself to go back and catch up. So I'm happy that I'm currently on track, and hopefully it stays that way. My next new start is A Long and Short Year by Pinoy Stitch. I have talked about this pattern a couple times in this video already because it is the same pattern I used to make those Santa wiener dog ornaments. So this is going to be another year-long stitch for me. My goal is, as you can see, this pattern is, a weenie dog for every month of the year. So my goal is going to be to stitch each weenie dog, one every month for the month that, it is for. I feel like I described that in the most roundabout way, but hopefully it's obvious what I'm saying. So as discussed in my goals for January, I wanted to get the January weenie dog done, and I actually have completed that. So here is what my January weenie is looking like. Oh, and I also should mention that I did do a color conversion to make the weenie in the chart look more like my Frank. Hopefully you're able to see this pretty good. It's so hard. I'm like, I can't hold these up and also see like the screen. So hopefully you're seeing it pretty good. Yeah, so instead of like, I don't even know what the called for colors are for the actual weenie dogs, but I have subbed him out. So he's mostly some 310. The lighter brown is 433, and there actually is some 3371 in his ears and a little bit in his body, just because I mean he is mostly a black doggy, but I wanted to get like some variation so that you can see the different parts of his body in all of these little motifs. So I think he's so cute with his little hat and scarf, and these snowflakes were really fun to backstitch. And actually this is like the best French knot on top of that J that I've probably ever done. I haven't done many, but I had to rewatch Kat from Kat and Lily's like French knot video that she put out a few months back to remind myself how to do it. But I think it's looking really good. Also, because I had to do a color conversion, I did do some backstitch in, I want to say DMC 415 maybe, to make his eyes like pop out. And I also did that in the ornaments that I made as well. So very cute. So that one is being put away until February, when I will stitch on the February little weenie dog. Did I say any information about this project at all? This is being stitched on 32 count vintage blue whisper by Zweigart. So it's a 32 count linen. It is okay. I don't know that I love it as much as some of the other linens that I have started using, but you know what? It's all about learning, and it's like good enough. Like I'll continue doing this project. Like I don't dislike it enough to not continue working on it, but it is just like, it's so thin, and I feel like the holes are like actually pretty large. And so maybe a linen like that has its place, but I don't know. I'm not loving this as much as like my, like the Valor linen I'm using for the Wicked Witches. I started this on January 3rd. Okay. Let's see. That whole weenie dog was 524 stitches, and that puts me at 8.63% finished on the whole pattern, not including like the back stitch and French knots and whatever. Stitching this 2/2. My fourth and final new start of this video is one that I am super excited about. I know I for sure talked about this in my last video because I have had this plan in mind for at least 2 months now, maybe even a little more than that. This chart is The Wedding by Lavender and Lace. I am stitching this as like a start along, stitch along with Rachel from Lemonade Stitching. She was restarting The Bride by Lavender and Lace, and I wanted to start The Wedding by Lavender and Lace, so we made a deal that we would both get started on this in January. Here I am with my new start on The Wedding. This is being stitched on 36 count linen by Fiber on a Whim in the color Dolomite. I am stitching it 2/2. So I did a center start. Hopefully I intend to be showing you a picture of the final image, or the final piece, and I hopefully am outlining where I am at, because judging by just what I've stitched so far, it's kind of hard to tell where in the piece I am. So I did center start this. I got started on this January 4th, and I actually recharted this using the Stitchly app. So this pattern is, to my knowledge, is not available in, a PDF version. So it is paper chart only, which is like fine, but I do really like having the stitch count and all the stats that go along with that. And also the paper chart itself is huge. Like, it's not split up into pages. It is just one giganto chart. So I just knew that would be a lot for me to handle, and I would probably get annoyed with it, and it would probably take me longer to stitch than it would if I had a digital version. So all that to be said, I did rechart this pattern in Stitchly. Actually over Christmas, when I was honestly too busy to really spend time stitching, I used that time to rechart this. So I think it was December 23rd through Christmas, or maybe the day after Christmas. I was just not stitching at all. I was on my iPad with the chart in front of me, so I could do this in the car. I'd fold up the chart and have my iPad and my Apple Pencil and going through and recharting every single stitch on this chart. Actually, that's a lie, because there is a flower girl. You probably saw in the end image that I put up. There is a flower girl. We're not gonna have a flower girl at our wedding, I don't think. So I'm just taking the flower girl entirely, I meant to say. I'm taking the flower girl out entirely, and so that was actually kind of nice that I have accurate stitch count, because I'm totally not stitching all the stitches that are in her. And it was nice because I was able to I'm doing a color change on the groom's hair to match more of what my future husband, his hair looks like. So instead of the groom having brown hair, he's gonna have the same hair color as the bride has. So we'll both be blonde. And it was also really nice because I was able to go ahead and chart our name and our wedding date and not have to worry about doing that later. It was all done at once. So long story long, I had a good time using the Stitchly app. I would recommend it. It definitely took a good amount of time. It was basically, like I said, 3 whole days of not stitching and only working on that. But it was an enjoyable process, and I do think it will be worth it in the end. I mean, I think is gonna save me just as much, if not way more time than those 3 days, just by having the digital pattern. So that was great, and now I get to see my stitch count, and it'll be easier to keep up with any goals I set, and knowing the percentage that I'm at is really motivating for me. So I'm really glad that I did that. I think it was worth it. Got started on January 4th. What you're looking at right here is 1,412 stitches, which is 4.87%. As mentioned, my goal for this in January was to get up to 2,000 stitches. So I need 588 stitches more to meet that goal, which I think is totally reasonable. In the next just under 2 weeks, I think we have left in January. So I think that should be no problem. I'm really enjoying working on this. I believe the total stitch count is, let me look that up actually. This is actually a deceivingly large project, or maybe it's not that deceiving and I'm just delusional, but the total stitch count for this, even with the flower girl removed, is 28,972 stitches. So I am by no means expecting to get this done by our wedding, which is October 17th of this year. Yeah, and I know I'm just gonna get super busy with wedding planning as we get closer to that date. So I am under no delusion that this will be done by October 17th. That's fine. I am hoping to get this done by our first anniversary, which would be next October. So we'll see if I can meet that goal. I have no plans to get this done by this October, but it has been a lot of fun to stitch on so far. I am actually stitching this in hand, which I totally was not expecting to do. I very much thought I would be putting this in an 11 by 11 Q-snap because it is 36 count linen. I am very new still to stitching on linen, and 36 count is really tiny. And this is just a big, dense project as a whole. So I was fully expecting to get this in an 11 by 11 Q-snap and get going. But so fun fact about this one is, like I said, I just scrolled away, almost 29,000 stitches in this. 16,090 stitches of that are DMC Blanc. So that is 9 skeins, by the way, 9 skeins of DMC Blanc that I'm gonna have to put into this project. So part of the reason why I decided to stitch this in hand rather than in a Q-snap is I know that those big blocks of white, I mean, most of the project, literally half of the project is white. I think it's like 55% of the project is DMC Blanc. I figured it would be a lot more palatable for me to do all of those block white stitching bits if I could use the sewing method. So I did decide to do it in hand. I love my fabric choice. I think the white and the blues and everything, every color I think is popping really well on this pink, and I love pink. It's kind of a more neutral pink, so I think even though it is like a colored fabric, I don't think it will detract at all from the beauty of the stitches itself. So, and if you've noticed, I have this cute little Keepsakes needle minder that I picked up when I was there. It is, you know, Keepsakes is a repurposed house. And so that is a cute little wood laser cut needle minder that I picked up when I was there. Super good magnet on it. I've been loving it. That was a lot of yapping for one project. Sorry about that. Actually, and I'm gonna yap more about it. So here is actually all of the thread colors. I don't know off the top of my head how many colors are in this pattern, but all of these beautiful colors, and I think I think this palette as a whole just looks so good. But keep in mind that here is my one little skein, partial skein of DMC Blanc, and there will be 9 of them. So even though this is like a lot of beautiful colors, it's mostly white. Like a lot of these colors are only in there for a few stitches or a few hundred stitches, and everything else is DMC Blanc. So we're gonna have fun with that. I've kind of just made it a thing of like, since this is like about half of the stitches are DMC Blanc, I've made it like my goal for every time I pick this up to do a strand of white and then a strand or a section of color. Strand of white, strand of color, strand of white, strand of color. So that way I'm always kind of keeping it balanced and not doing all of the fun like flowers and ribbon and all the kind of the fun bits of the pattern. I don't want to only focus on that and then be left with whatever 16,090 white stitches to do at the end. I just think that would be too much. Anyway, enough yapping. I am enjoying this so far. I am really motivated to get this done. I think it'll be a beautiful wedding sampler for my fiance and I to enjoy for the rest of our lives. So I think it's beautiful. It'll be my first time, well, we'll see if by the time I get to it, but this is my first chart that calls for a like a sparkly thread. So it actually calls for a DMC, I think it's 284Z, but in talking with Rachel and other stitchers that are more experienced than me, I think I'm gonna try to use the petite treasure braid, whatever. I don't even have that yet. Also, there's a lot of beading on this, which I'm glad I learned how to bead on my Mill Hill kit, because this is gonna be a lot of beads. I mean, I think there's like 200 something beads on this one, and it's just like lining her skirt, and I think there's a few like up in the bodice area and her earrings. Anyway, enough yapping. I'm clearly very excited about this one, and I'm excited to keep showing my progress as I go, and I'm really happy to have a friend to be stitching this or, you know, a similar lavender and lace project alongside. So I need a water after all of that. Literally just 13 straight minutes yapping about this one project, but clearly I'm excited and I am just happy to talk about it. So now I would like to take a little time to talk about my plans for the next month. I don't have like all of my February goals lined out already. We'll get to that in a couple weeks. Let's get into at least like my loosey-goosey February plans and where they stand right now. So obviously February is Valentine's Day. A lot of Valentine's Day stitching is going to be going around. So I am planning to do 2 Valentine's themed projects, get 2 Valentine's themed projects started. So here is the first one. This is Frosty's Valentine by Annie B's Folk Art. I actually got this chart as a freebie at the Stitchy Day that I talked about, the stitching meetup that is hosted by the Hathaway Stitchers in Northern Kentucky. Somebody brought in freebies, and this was one that I picked up. It is just a cute little chart. It is 80 by 82 stitches, so it's nothing huge. I think this, I don't know if it'll be a start and finish, maybe. It's only, I actually got this, oh no, I don't have this one in Markup XP yet. I'm going to try to scan it and get it in. So I don't know the stitch count, but like all the stitches, but it is only 80 by 82, and it's not like super full coverage. Like it's not super dense stitching. So anyway, enough yapping. This is something I plan to get started. I actually just ordered the fabric and the few flosses that I didn't have in my stash already. I think it's really cute. It's Frosty and Lady Frosty, and they're putting like love letters up in the tree. They have some cute snowflakes around them. I'm trying to avoid the glare that you're seeing, but I think this is a cute little one, and I'm excited to get that started in February. And then the other chart that I am planning to get started in February is Elements of Love by the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. I saw a post for this on their Instagram, and as I mentioned in my first video, if you watch that, I am a chemist by trade, so this just obviously spoke to my heart. Cute little Erlenmeyer flasks with elements that spell out I love you. The stitch count on this, like you can see, this is PDF that I bought it, so I have this in markup. There is 1,581 stitches on this, so maybe it'll be a start and finish. We'll see. I don't know what my goals are going to be for next month, but this one is also like, okay, like, yeah, it's like love, so Valentine's, but it's not like explicitly Valentine. So I could stitch this after February if I don't get it done. To me, it's chemistry, so I can stitch that at any time of the year. So I wanted to take a quick second to say thank you to Lucy from Stitch to My Lou. She mentioned me in one of her recent videos, and I just wanted to take a second to thank her. I had actually been subscribed to Lucy already, I believe, at least if not on this channel, on my other YouTube channel that I used before I like started floss tubing. And so I had been watching her for a little bit, and I think she is so sweet. She works on some very thoughtful patterns, and you know, puts a lot of good thought into what she works on, and I really appreciate that about her. I recently, the video she mentioned me in was all about her like Christmas gift stitching and other like around the Christmas time stitching that she had been working on, and she made these really thoughtful gifts for people really close to her, that they were little keychains with all different birds on them, and I just thought that was so sweet that she, you know, took the time to make that many little smalls to put as keychain gifts for, I mean, I want to say it was like 12 of them. So she is just very sweet, very thoughtful person. I thought it was awesome that she gave me a shout out, and so I'd like to give her a shout out back. It meant a lot that she had shouted me out, and I think you should check out her channel, follow her on Instagram. They're both Stitch to My Lou. Anyway, I really appreciated that she gave me that shout out, and I think she's really sweet, and you should check her out. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If you made it this far in this video, I really appreciate it, and it means a lot to me. If you feel so inclined, please go check me out on Instagram. My username is AshleyXStitches, which is the same as my YouTube channel. I am certainly not that great at Instagram. I don't really know how to take like the very aesthetically pleasing pictures that everybody else on Instagram seems to have, but my goal is to just kind of be consistent with it, and I don't know, hopefully get better at Instagramming as time goes on. So yeah, if you feel like following me, that would be awesome, or please shoot me a DM and say hi. My whole goal of doing, you know, FlossTube and also Instagram is just to meet other people who love this hobby as much as I do. I don't have anybody in my personal life that cross stitches, so I'm just hoping to make some more friends that I can talk about this with. So all that being said, thank you so much for being here and seeing all the progress I made in the last month and my new starts and all of those fun things. So I really appreciate it, and I hope that you're all taking care of yourself and finding time to get your stitching in, and I hope you were stitching while watching this. And if you want, you know, comment down below what you were working on. I am always looking for new patterns. So again, for the third time, thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.